When we eat, we want it to taste good. However, recently a list came out with the world's worst rated foods. Here's my problem. I believe that all food is good. It just needs to be prepared properly. And I think this list is completely wrong. So today we're gonna taste and rank the world's worst foods to see if they're really as bad as the 500,000 people who voted on this list say they are.
Taste Atlas voters scored these dishes out of 5. So obviously we're gonna be doing the same, except we need to figure out if they were wrong or right.
It's me versus the list, starting with
Bocadillo de Sardinas. It's a sardine sandwich from Spain. I can see why this might be special. It can be made with many toppings, but we have a Spanish-influenced baguette, mayo on one side, tomato, lettuce, quality tinned sardines, pickled peppers, mustard on the other. Crown your king, and let's test.
I'm not a huge fan of sardines, but I'm gonna take a bite anyway. Woo! This tasted fine. Texture of the bread's nice, the flavors are fine. It's a little fishy, which I think could turn a lot of people off, and I can see why people don't like it, but I don't mind it. If you like tinned fish, you'll love this sandwich.
I would never order this, but it was fine. I'd give this a 3. I don't know if I could down a whole sandwich.
It's like a 2.8, maybe on a good day, a 3 out of 5. It's not one of the worst foods in the world. Moving on.
Anise candy from France, an ancient breath freshener. It's been around since the Middle Ages. Anise seeds coated in thin layers of mostly floral flavored sugar syrup. And no matter the flavor, they're always called anise de flavor.
Honestly, the ingredients are very simple. Sugar, star anise, and green anise seed. You know what I hate is when people pronounce it anise. Please stop.
Just suck.
It specifically says do not bite. You don't like anise?
I don't like licorice.
It's not licorice, it's anise.
Same family.
It was used to freshen breath.
If I kiss someone and their breath smelled like this, immediate ick.
It reminds me of fennel. Do you like fennel?
Yeah, it's actually growing on me. I'd give this like a 3.5.
Wow, that's higher than I thought you would give it. I don't even know why this is even on the worst foods list. This is not a bad food. I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. I would suck on one of these again.
Chongos zamoranos, I don't know. This is a popular dessert made of sweetened, curdled milk turned spongy, rubbery, and flavored with cinnamon sugar.
I've eaten some pretty crazy things in my life, and I have not seen anything look as ugly as this does. I don't want to eat this anymore. Me, dude.
It kind of just tastes like dulce de leche. I'm not mad at this, honestly.
It's like a sweet milk curd with cinnamon. It looks so gross, but the taste is not bad. The texture is not bad. Honestly, if I close my eyes, that's a 4. If I open my eyes, it's a 1. So I would say that lands somewhere within a 3.
I'm gonna give this like a 3.8.
Does this belong on the worst foods list? I don't think so, but I do think the way that it made its way on the list was people saw what it looked like and they just said, oh, that's gross, ew, yucky. Never judge a book by its cover, even if its cover looks like this.
Australia with musk stick, an old school breath freshener that, like Vegemite, seems to be something that maybe only Australians like due to its floral flavor and aroma reminiscent of musk perfume.
It tastes like cologne.
Yeah.
I have a cologne just like this. That is so unusual. I have quite literally never tasted anything remotely like this in my entire life. I don't even know how to form into words what I'm tasting.
I'm not a fan. I think I'd give this like a 2.5.
I think this is an acquired taste. The more I eat it, the more I'm like, I don't know what flavor this is, but I'll keep eating it.
Not for me.
I give it a 3.8. It's not bad. It's not the worst food in the world, but I do kind of understand why it's on the list, and I do understand why people wouldn't like this. I'm not thinking about who I'm gonna kiss afterward. Moving on.
Fish pie from Finland. Traditional Finnish dish consisting of fish pork belly baked inside of a thick rye bread crust. Now this is a rarity, but I needed help figuring out how to actually make this recipe properly. So we got this recipe from a Finland-born YouTuber. Shout out to Finish Your Plate, you cutie. So you're gonna roll a rye crust into a rough oval in the center, lay down slices of raw pork, a little bit of salt, followed by small whitefish, another layer of pork. Season with salt, fold the top over, seal, flip, seam side down, bake until the pork is fully cooked through and the bread is baked. You open that bad boy up and that's what we're trying.
The aesthetic is low.
Very low.
But that doesn't mean that it's bad. Never judge a book by its cover. Very fishy.
I don't know about this one. I'd give this a 1.5.
The only place that this can be good is with context. And it's gotta be like the 1800s in Finland, and you're working all day, and this is what you got.
I'm feeling like if I brought this to work, I'd want someone to ask me how I was doing.
I kinda like the chew of the bread. That is it. That's gonna be a 1 out of 5 for me. I really don't like that. This is a very acquired taste. There will be people out there who like this, but I will never eat that again in my entire life, and that's just me being flat out honest. It's just not for me. Is it one of the worst foods in the world? I wouldn't be mad if this was on that list. I think it's okay that it's there. I'd love to say hopefully it doesn't get worse, but I know it does. Moving on.
Pyramid cake, Sweden. Skanskt spetkaka. The name means cake on a spit. And the process of making it may be cooler than how it tastes, I don't know. Batter slowly baked on a rotating mold, layer by layer. It looks interesting.
It's like drywall.
Here's your half. Is there shrimp in this?
It tastes like fish.
I don't think it's that bad. It's a sweet treat. That weird shrimpy taste is throwing me off.
It's got good texture. It's just kind of sugary, not super flavorful. I probably wouldn't eat it again, but it's not like bad.
It reminds me more of a meringue than anything else with frosting. If you like meringue, you like this. It's like a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I'd also say 3 out of 5.
Does this belong on the worst food list? No. I've had way worse. Moving on.
Scottish deep fried pizza. Literally, frozen or par-baked pizza was deep fried in hot oil without being dipped in batter. Taste Atlas specified no batter, but we know they do it this way, or at least they batter at most Scottish chip shops from what we've read, and serve with malt vinegar.
This is the oiliest pizza I've ever eaten, but it's not bad. Honestly, I hate frozen pizza, but this is the best way I've ever eaten it.
This definitely gives it like the crispy crunch that you never get when you bake a frozen pizza.
The cheese gets crispy around the edges. You kind of get like a cheese crust on the outside. It intensified the flavors from the deep frying.
I'd give it like a 4.2. I would eat this again.
Honestly, I'm gonna give that a 4 out of 5. If it wasn't so oily, it might even be higher. That's pretty good. Does not deserve to be on the worst foods list at all.
Bacon shark sandwich. That's bake and shark. A classic thing from Trinidad and Tobago. One of this country's most famous dishes. The bake part is actually freshly fried bread, and the shark is more commonly marinated or seasoned whitefish, dredged and fried, topped with vegetables and a sauce of your choice.
Why is this even on the worst foods list? This looks beautiful. We're gonna need a better knife. Hell yeah.
This is really good.
This is fire. Dude, if there was a place serving this in Austin, I would go there and eat it all the time, within reason to my diet, which is actually once every 14 days. This is a 5 out of 5. It's delicious. You have nice, chewy, decently browned bread, a crispy, salty, well-seasoned fish, a creamy, cooling slaw, and fresh vegetables. Nothing negative.
Yeah, this is a 5. I've never had a fish sandwich on like bread like this, but I think it's really something special. This needs to be like on the best foods list.
Yeah, I agree. Should not have ever been put on that list, ever. How dare you? Moving on.
Deviled kidneys. Yeah, that sounds like UK. Can be breakfast, lunch, or an appetizer. A lot of ways to make this, but we went traditional. Fried lamb kidneys dredged in a spiced flour, then fried in butter until cooked through. You added some sauteed mushrooms, chicken stock, Worcestershire sauce, season to taste, and serve atop toasted bread.
If you like awful organ meats, you'll probably like this. I mean, it's got a little bit of an iron-like flavor. It's very oily. The texture's okay. It's kind of fattier than I expected.
Yeah, it's kind of rich. It's probably a 2.5 for me.
It's like a 2.8 for me. Does it deserve to be on the world's worst food list? No. But I wouldn't put this on like the world's best food list either. I don't love it, but I can see why people would love it. Shout out to the Brits. Hello, love you, thank you. Moving on.
Brat soup, also known as bread soup from Germany. There's a lot of variations to this. You add toasted stale bread to simmering beef stock with whatever aromatics you want. We got caramelized onions, garlic, marjoram, caraway, so on and so forth. You cook till the bread's softened. You can serve it as is or transfer to a blender and puree until very smooth. You can add a little bit of butter if you want. Season to taste with salt and pepper and enjoy.
Thicken quite a bit. There could be more aromatics in this.
Yeah, it's just gonna taste like whatever aromatics you put in it. So we probably could have done with a few more of those, but for what it is, the texture, the mouthfeel is really nice. I'd give it like a 3.5.
Bread has been used in blended soups since the existence of bread, pretty much. For thickening, for viscosity, and for nourishment. If you use nice bread, like if you were to use like a toasty rye bread or a whole wheat bread, you're gonna add that nice flavor to it. I like it. I actually think bread soup is awesome. It is as good as what you put in it. It is absolutely a 4 out of 5. This does not deserve to be on the worst foods list. Moving on.
Stewed snails from Portugal. Thoroughly cleaned snails are then stewed in herbs, spices, and aromatics. Taste Atlas recommended oregano, lemon, and a bay leaf, though other variations do exist. I'm gonna be honest, I feel like there's probably a better variation, but without any direction here, we have to go with the Taste Atlas one. Now, I don't know if this is 100% accurate. Snails would traditionally be served still in the shell, but we followed the best recipe that we could find at the time. Come on, Taste Atlas, come through here. Let's give it a shot.
This should not be served like this. Everything about this is gross. And that's just my personal take. I'm sure there's some kid somewhere that loves this. I really personally don't like it. The smell is not bad, but it's just overwhelmingly oregano, lemon, bay leaf. It smells more like a tea.
If I liked snails, like maybe it would be better. 2 out of 5.
It's definitely on the low end of things for me. It's like a solid 2 out of 5. I honestly think this one deserves to be on the list. That being said, you should always be willing to try something. You never know. There were a few things on this list that I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. And I tried it and I did. This just happened to not be one of them. Moving on.
Riz Casimir, curried rice with fruit from Switzerland of all places. From the 1950s, basically an Indian-inspired beef or chicken curry. We use chicken over rice topped with various fruits and toasted almonds.
The banana in here is diabolical.
The curry part's good. The banana's really weird, very weird.
I kind of like it. I like the tropical qualities of it.
I don't know why this is Swiss.
To be honest, it tastes like a pretty standard curry powder curry, which doesn't taste bad. And I think fruit and savory go quite well together.
I think the only thing that the fruit adds for me is like a different texture than you would typically expect in like a curry dish. It's not blowing my socks off, probably like a 3.4.
It's like a 3.5 out of 5. I would make this again just slightly different. This does not belong on the worst foods list, period. Moving on.
Sour curry soup from Thailand. It's gonna be a broth-based curry with shrimp or fish that gets its sour flavor, typically from lime, tamarind, or both. We're probably gonna do a little combo because who doesn't love a little wombo combo? Look, there are many ways to prepare this, but think about popular vegetables like daikon, long beans, or typically whatever is locally available, depending on the region of Thailand that you're in, but it looks good, and it could be very good.
Why is this on the bad foods list? This sounds fire. Kind of like Tom Yum.
Got that quality to it.
This is fantastic. It's rich, umami. It's got whatever seafood qualities you wanted to have. You put shrimp in there. It's got a nice, deep, meaty shrimp flavor. It's salty, spicy, a little tangy.
It hits like everything on your palate.
4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'd say like 4.4.
He had to go 0.1 lower. Moving on.
Tripa alla romana. Tripe from Italy. It's a classic Roman dish with stewing tripe in a tart tomato sauce. Tripe is the stomach lining, typically of a ruminant such as a cow. Very common in many cultures. It's optionally topped with grated cheese, probably pecorino, maybe parmigiano. But why is it on this list?
I'm gonna say something right now. I do not like tripe. Give this a tiny little bite. The flavors in this are nice. It tastes like a very basic tomato-based dish. The only thing that throws this off for me is the texture of the tripe.
I agree.
I can't get past it. It absorbs all the flavor of what you put it in, and that's why people adore it. But if you didn't grow up with tripe, it may be something difficult for you to get by. I'll give this a 4 out of 5 for flavor, a 1 out of 5 for texture, but I think it's worthy of at least a 3 out of 5, generally speaking.
Yeah, I think flavor is there. It's just the texture thing. Probably lands this at a 3 for me as well.
But does this belong on the worst foods list? Probably no.
We're sorry, Italy.
Tuna casserole from the USA. What a contribution, America. You got cooked egg noodles, canned tuna, cheddar, peas, parsley, sauteed onions, celery, condensed cream of mushroom soup, milk. That gets tossed together, placed in a 2-quart casserole dish, topped with seasoned panko, baked at 425 until toasty, and that is your tuna casserole.
Texture's okay, it's fine. The tuna flavor that's in there doesn't kill me. I personally would not eat this by choice, but it's not gross. It's certainly not bad. It's edible.
I don't think I could eat a whole bowl of this. I think it was good for a bite to taste, and that's about as far as I want to take it. It's like a 2.5.
I'd give it a 2.8 out of 5. Certainly not one of the worst foods in the world, I don't think. Moving on.
Pizza Cake, Canada. The result of a chain restaurant's contest for the next crazy pizza dish. You line a bottom and the sides of a cake pan with pizza crust, layer of pizza sauce, mozzarella, pepperoni, then repeat with another layer of dough. And repeat this until you have at least 3 levels. Bake that bad boy until browned and cooked through looks like this. You slice it, you got a cheese pull. Couldn't be too bad, right?
Canada's deep dish.
Better than deep dish, actually.
Hot take.
This is probably what deep dish should have been.
The dough that's like in the center layers is just like steamed. That texture is like kind of nice. Yeah, this is like a 4 for me.
If I'm comparing this to deep dish, this is also a 4. I can't believe I'm saying that. It's really not bad. I like it. That's a W for Canada. Moving on.
Pampapado de Ferrara. Spice bread from Italy, traditionally an Italian Christmas fruit cake studded with nuts, candied fruit flavored cocoa, honey, cinnamon, cloves, sometimes black pepper, and topped with chocolat. Let's test.
This thing is dense. It's spicy. Black pepper in the ratio that it's used here feels a little overpowering.
God, my mouth is numb.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm enjoying it. You've got nuts and fruit scattered in throughout for texture, good chocolatey richness. Yeah, I think the spices are dragging this down for me. I'd say it's probably gonna land around a 3.
I like it more than the typical fruit cake, the American fruit cake. And if I had to choose, I would choose this. It's chocolatey, it's spiced. I keep going back for another bite. Worst food in the world? Absolutely not. It's a 3.2 out of 5 for me. I like it. Moving on.
Frozen fish salad from Russia. This comes from one of the coldest regions in the world along the Arctic Ocean, consisting of diced frozen fish combined with onions, salt, pepper, oils, and a little bit of parsley and lemon slices.
After you, sir.
I don't like the wateriness you get from the fish that's retained from it being frozen. That's a little weird texturally.
Besides that, it's not bad, honestly. It's very basic.
The flavor's fine. You know, whatever you put on this, it's gonna taste like. I'm not a huge fan. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5.
I'd give it like a 2.5.
Not great. Is it one of the world's worst foods? It's on the edge. I don't love it. Moving on.
USA with chocolate covered bacon. It's literally just cooked bacon dipped in melted chocolate. Set and enjoy it. It's a popular state fair food.
This feels like a fair food that you would get once and then regret.
I think it tastes good. I like it. Got a little salty, a little sweet, obviously chocolatey, which plays really well with smoke. There's also a lot of savory dishes that use chocolate in their recipes, and I think that this works well together. I'm gonna give this a 3.8 out of 5.
Yeah, that was kind of convincing. I may have been a little harsh. It's good for what it is. I'd give it a 3. I don't really want to like go out of my way to eat this.
But one of the worst foods in the world?
It's not. Yeah, it's really not.
It's definitely gonna get worse than this. So let's kick it up a notch. Earlier I said I think this list is completely wrong, but these next and final 5 are really gonna put my opinion to the test. My team has selected at random the next 5 of what seemingly could be the very worst foods on the list, and I have no idea what's coming next. So a level up in dishes means a level up in tasters. So of course we have Haynes, and now Christian. Had to add another chef's palate to the mix. So let's bring in the first one.
Fermented shark, the national dish of Iceland. Extremely polarizing because of the strong ammonia-rich smell and fishy taste. Maybe it's actually good.
This is not shark fin, this is legal.
I can smell it.
It doesn't look that bad. It looks like cut up sponge.
Thick clams almost. It smells like smelling salts.
The worst part about this was the ferociously powerful scent of cheese that entered my nose after I swallowed it.
The smell's not going away.
How do we feel about that?
Oh, that's a 0. I don't want it to exist ever. It had like a weird chew. Just looking at it, I thought I was gonna bite it and it would just come off. It had a pull, and I don't ever want to experience that again.
This is a 0 out of 5. This tastes like the rotten fish you forgot about in your fridge.
No, that's probably better.
This is a perfect example of the human's will to survive. If a will eat this to survive, you might as well eat your own goddamn foot. That's a 0 out of 5. This deserves a place on the world's worst food. I never want to see this again. On to the next.
Lutefisk, aka Scandinavian lye-treated fish, typically with a very strong pungent odor. It's a big deal during the Scandinavian Christmas and served along many different sides like peas, potatoes, and bacon.
It is lye treated and dry. You know what else is treated with lye? Pretzels.
Pretzels.
We've actually seen this before. In our king crab video, we went and toured a facility that made this, and the smell in there was pretty substantial, but it wasn't gross per se. It was just dried fish smell. I know that people love this.
It's very bland and offensive at the same time.
This has the texture of pulpy jello, and it tastes like nothing at all.
It tastes like fish flavored La Croix.
This is a 1 out of 5. This is not for me.
This is a flat 1.
I'll give this one a 1 out of 5. I don't think it deserves a 0, but I definitely don't think it deserves any higher than a 1. Scandinavians, let us know. Did we prepare this incorrectly? Maybe we just need to have it a different way, but however we prepared it should be on that list. Moving on.
Fried pickled herring. Fried fish fillets in a sweet, sour brine that's eaten a lot in Denmark, and it catches a lot of flack, but does it really deserve to be one of the worst foods in the world?
I wish it was saltier, but pickled fish. I like the added texture from it being fried. Not horrible.
I don't like cold fish at all. I would prefer this to be hot, or maybe in a sandwich with like a lot of mayo or some sort of fat to combine with that acidity. I think there's a world where this is very good. I'm gonna give it a 2.5 out of 5.
I kind of like this. I like the flavor from the brine. I'd give it like a 2.2.
I had a second bite. For me, this is a solid 3.5. Give me a side of rice, some tomatoes, a little crack of salt.
So this doesn't deserve to be on the list despite its scary vibes. Moving on.
Turkish roasted lamb head. Look, I know to the untrained eye, it may look a little scary, but it's beloved in Turkey because of all the different textures, flavors, the juiciness, the richness. This is something that I think chefs can appreciate, and I don't think it should be on that list. Should it?
I don't have a problem with this at all. Let's taste.
This is fire.
There's nothing wrong with it. It tastes great. It tastes like any other protein you would cook. It's just super tender and juicy. And it's fatty, it's rich, it's gelatinous, it's flavorful.
I agree. That's 4.7. Could be better. Not
Could
the
use some
worst.
salt.
Yeah.
4.5 out of 5.
I really like this as well. I think this is like 4.5.
This definitely should never have ever been on the worst foods list at all. I get it's a little scary to look at, but so what? Even the scary things can be delicious. But just because that was easy doesn't mean the last one is. We've saved the best for last.
Cambodian deep fried tarantula, also known as the Thailand zebra leg tarantula, fried in garlic oil, tossed in salt, sugar, and MSG. That is a fried spider. Here goes.
Oh, okay, I don't want to see his face,
Are
dude.
those the eyes? I didn't realize how hairy a spider is.
I'm gonna go for it. This was a hairy little guy.
Think about the worst thing that you've ever been through in your life. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, this is not the same. My tongue's going numb.
I'd rather eat crickets.
It doesn't really taste like anything, honestly.
It was lackluster. It's crispy, it's dry. I'd rather eat all of its legs than anything like fermented shark again.
That's a very good point. It's the thought of it that makes it worse than the experience. The fermented shark, the thought of it was not as bad as the experience of it. This is very much of like, you just have to get past the thought of I'm eating a spider and it's hairy.
It was not as bad as I was expecting. It probably lands around like a 1.7. I don't want to eat this again, but it's not as bad as a couple of of the things today.
Dude, this is a 3 for me. I think it's strange, weird, but it's not the worst food.
You could make this hypothetically taste good. I'll give it a 1.5 out of 5. Does it deserve to be on the world's worst foods list? You know, probably. It's tough to get around mentally, I will say. If you grew up with this and this wasn't gross to you and you didn't know anything about spiders, I could see you getting into this, you know, salt and vinegar flavor and ranch flavor, that's gross. Now the time has come to compare our list. Take a look at that. So we rated things actually surprisingly higher than what was rated on the world's worst foods list. The moral of the story is not everything is as bad as it seems. Sometimes you just need to try things to see if they're really good. Maybe you don't like it and that's your own prerogative. More specifically, it might just not be a part of your cultural palate, and that's okay. If you like something, then there's nothing wrong with that. If you put ketchup on your eggs, that's disgusting, unless it's on a bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll. Subscribe, bye.